Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu disagreeing with President Biden. The Israeli leader rebuffing the president's suggestion that he walk away from his judicial reform plan. Netanyahu replying that Israel makes its own decisions. We'll bring you the story behind the frosty exchange between the leaders of the U.S. and Israel. What we've learned about the shooter at the Covenant Christian School in Nashville, as one of her former 8th grade teammates says she sent her a message Monday saying something bad is about to happen.
I'm speechless. I'm just trying to wrap all this around. It just don't make sense. It's just crazy.
Now the debate over how to protect schools and kids. He's a millionaire businessman, an outsider running for the Republican nomination for president. And he's clear about what America needs to do to restore its greatness.
And I think we should be unapologetic about reviving, yes, those Judeo-Christian values that I happen to share through my Hindu faith as well, but revive those as the cornerstone of American identity too. Family, faith, patriotism.
Our conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy on his goals for the country and why he blames the progressive left for many of its problems. Zach is back. Actor Zachary Levi returning to the big screen in his latest superhero film, Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
That night, my phone starts blowing up, and my agent's like, so? As it turns out, they haven't hired their Shazam. Not only do they love you for this role, they think you could actually be Shazam.
And a major transition from X-rated content to following Christ. Former reality star Blac Chyna talks about how her conversion changed her life. Those stories for you today on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin with the ongoing controversy over Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's judicial reform plan. President Biden weighing in, asking Netanyahu to stop the legislation, leading Netanyahu to disagree. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, Biden's comments are putting a strain on U.S.-Israeli relations and raising the political tensions in Israel.
At an airport press event, reporters asked President Biden about the health of democracy in Israel.
Like many strong supporters of Israel, I'm very concerned. And I'm concerned that they get this straight. They cannot continue down this road. And I've sort of made that clear. Hopefully, the Prime Minister will act in a way that he's going to try to work out some genuine compromise, but that remains to be seen.
President Biden added he had no intention of inviting Prime Minister Netanyahu to the White House anytime soon. Later, he told a Reuters reporter he hopes Netanyahu walks away from judicial reform. In response, Prime Minister Netanyahu acknowledged his 40-year friendship with Biden, but tweeted, "Israel is a sovereign country, which makes its decisions by the will of its people, and not based on pressures from abroad, including from the best of friends." He added, "My administration is committed to strengthening democracy by restoring the proper balance between the three branches of government, which we are striving to achieve via a broad consensus." Biden's comments gave political fuel to Netanyahu's political foes. Benny Gantz tweeted, "President Biden sent an urgent wake-up call to the Israeli government tonight. Damaging relations with the U.S., our best friend, and our most important ally, is a strategic attack." Many within Israel believe judicial reform will strengthen Israel's democracy.
The Supreme Court has had virtually unchecked power, making it almost a separate state within a state. It's the rebalancing that Israel democracy is calling upon itself, to rebalance the relationship between the judicial, legislative, and executive branches.
Some believe the open opposition by the U.S. towards Prime Minister Netanyahu is to thwart his plans to attack Iran.
And I believe that Israel wants to take concrete military action, and by removing support publicly for the judicial reforms or for other policy issues, the U.S. is making clear that they're not on the same page with Netanyahu's agenda.
In the meantime, negotiations continue at the president's residence for those opposing and supporting judicial reform. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Here at home, the shooter who killed 6 people at a Nashville Christian school was under a doctor's care for an emotional disorder. The attacker also texted a friend just minutes before the deadly rampage, saying, "I'm planning to die today." Police body cam video shows officers rushing to the sound of gunfire, confronting the shooter and ending the attack. Now, many across the nation are praying for those in Nashville who've lost family members, friends, and loved ones. Charlene Aaron has that story.
Police say the shooter, 28-year-old Audrey Hale, a former student at the school, legally bought 7 firearms despite being under a doctor's care. This latest shooting brings into question security concerns at private schools.
Let's go!
Body cam video shows police entering the building at Covenant Christian School, racing to the gunfire to confront and take down the shooter. Officers Rex Engelberg and Michael Colazzo finding and killing the shooter. Witnesses jumping in to help students and teachers fleeing as the shooting unfolded.
The little boy said, "Help me get inside. Help me get inside. How can I get inside?"
Actress Melissa Joan Hart also helping students escape.
We helped all these tiny little kids cross the road and get their teachers over there, and we helped a mom reunite with her children.
Police revealed Audrey Hale was under a doctor's care for an emotional disorder. A friend says Hale messaged her just before the shooting.
The message reads, "I'm planning to die today."
Hale had purchased 7 guns legally, using 3 in Monday's shooting, leading once again to heated debate of gun control.
There's a moral price to pay for inaction.
Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn called for greater school security.
Violence against children is just one of the most heinous crimes. And the families there at Covenant Pres and Covenant School, I just grieve for what they're going through. We have to work to protect children at school, and that means increasing security.
Dr. Larry Taylor, president of the Association of Christian Schools International, addressing the issue on CBN's Faith Nation.
I don't think any one of us are immune to the inevitable violence that is just permeating our society. I do think, I think the research shows that there are fewer incidents in Christian schools.
When asked if schools need armed security, Taylor responded,
"I don't think every school needs an armed officer. I think that's obviously debatable, and we have to consider and have always considered this, but we have to consider the physical safety as one of the highest priorities, unfortunately, one of the highest priorities today. And I think it begins with the well-being of a child. There are so many different things that we as educators can notice.
Meanwhile, Nashville is mourning the loss of students Evelyn Dickhouse, William Kinney, and Haley Scruggs, all 9 years old, as well as substitute teacher Cynthia Peak, school administrator Catherine Kuntz, and custodian Mike Hill. Prayers are being offered from around the country. Senate Chaplain Barry Black.
Lord, when babies die at a church school, it is time for us to move beyond thoughts and prayers.
Chaplains from the Billy Graham Rapid Response Team are in Nashville to minister to families and the community. Coordinator James Kilgore describing the fear and heartbreak.
This morning, as I met with the church and watching elementary and preschool parents take their children into school, moms and dad, they left crying. Will their children be there tonight? Will they call them to come pick them up because someone has tried to hurt them?
The group setting up a mobile command center to assist.
They can come by and stop and talk to and pray with and just share their heart. And right now is a time that people need to be listened to, share their stories, share their hurt and their pain so that they can find that healing again.
Meanwhile, Daily.com reports the shooter, who identified as transgender, was at odds with her Christian parents over the issue. Police are continuing their investigation into a motive in the attack. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, he's a millionaire businessman running for the Republican nomination for president as an outsider. And he's a Hindu who says America must revive its Judeo-Christian values as the cornerstone of American identity. We're going to hear from Vivek Ramaswamy when we come back. Welcome back to NewsWatch. He's one of the most unusual presidential candidates ever, a Hindu who says the U.S. must restore its Judeo-Christian values. Vivek Ramaswamy is a millionaire businessman running for the White House, and he warns that the progressive left, the big government bureaucracy, and the religion of climate change are damaging the country. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody sat down with him to learn more about his story and his vision for America.
In 2016, businessman Donald Trump entered politics as an outsider and shocked the world by winning the presidency. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy hopes to follow a similar script and achieve the same result. He shares the business success story as an entrepreneur worth millions. Ramaswamy was born in America to immigrant parents from India.
They taught me something pretty interesting, which is that if you're going to be the odd man out, if you're going to stand out, you might as well be outstanding.
And he followed that advice, which took him from high school valedictorian to Harvard to Yale Law School, and ultimately into major success in the biotech and pharmaceutical industries. As for his faith, Ramaswamy is Hindu, although he attended a Jesuit high school. Tell us more about your upbringing, your faith, how that shapes your worldview.
There is a moral foundation for equality, and America's vision of equality starts with that moral foundation. And I think we should be unapologetic about reviving, yes, those Judeo-Christian values that I happen to share through my Hindu faith as well, but revive those as the cornerstone of American identity too. Family, faith, patriotism, these have become four-letter words. You know, when Moses went to the mountaintop, by the time he came down, they'd already built the golden calf. You know, the Israelites are wandering in the desert. What was it internally inside each of them that wanted to go back and be ruled by Pharaoh? I think that is the moment we live in today in America, where we too are lost. And we have an entire populace that is so hungry to bend the knee, so hungry to worship these false idols of climatism or COVIDism or wokeism or gender ideology.
And those issues are his bread and butter. Because when Vivek Ramaswamy hits the campaign trail,
Guys, thank you very much.
He focuses on one constant theme.
I think we're in the middle of a national identity crisis in this country.
He blames the progressive left, saying it's created a morally bankrupt vacuum.
They prey on that vacuum, telling you that your identity is based on your race and your sexuality, and then what you can achieve in life is based on your genetics. I reject that vision.
Based on that, one of his policies would include rescinding affirmative action programs.
I believe in trickle-down culture. Once you get rid of government-spawned affirmative action, government-spawned racism, it's really a form of de facto racism, that then affects all parts of our culture all the way down.
Ramaswamy also believes it's time to end what he calls the new toxic climate religion.
The climate religion has nothing to do with the climate and everything to do with the equity agenda, the global equity agenda of shackling the United States while letting the rest of the world catch up so we may apologize for our sins.
And dismantling the federal administrative state, which he says really runs the country, is a part of his mission as well.
Apply 8-year sunset clauses to anybody who works in the federal bureaucracy to say that if I, as the president, can't work for the government for more than 8 years, neither should most bureaucrats.
His claim to fame centers on railing against liberal progressive ideology, summed up in his best-selling book, Woke Inc., Inside Corporate America's Social Justice Scam. More specifically, Ramaswamy believes it's time to go after big business that embraces the government move toward pushing the environmental, social, and governance movement, or ESG.
Go after those cases where the government is itself using private companies to do through the back door what government could not get done through the front door under the Constitution. That's what we see in the case of so-called big tech censorship. I don't even call it that anymore. I call it what it is, government tech censorship.
It's not yet clear how much his message might resonate. GOP strategist Eric Erickson says, quote, Ramaswamy has the potential to build a coalition that transcends traditional Republican coalition building with his focus on ESG and, in particular, a battle against the cloistered mind of the left. Others say he could actually help Donald Trump win the nomination, especially if Florida Governor Ron DeSantis gets in the race. The two men share similar visions, with both going after woke culture and corporations.
I don't know what his joining the race does other than peel away a few votes from DeSantis.
As for Trump's candidacy, Ramaswamy sees the need to move on for the sake of national unity.
How has he not actually been able to deliver on unifying the country? What do you mean by that exactly?
A lot of people think he doesn't care about national unity. I know him. I believe he cares deeply about national unity, actually. But the question is, can he deliver it? And if he was going to deliver it, I think we wouldn't be where we are today. We're fractiously divided. We're deeply divided. There's now calls even from one wing of the Republican Party, from Marjorie Taylor Greene, for a national divorce. I reject that vision.
Ramaswamy wants to unite the country and believes that a 37-year-old new generation candidate like himself can be the one to do it. He maintains he brings a full understanding of the issues and is not just a talking points candidate. But can he really win? He says it's a two-step process.
2023, let it be the year of the what and the why. Forget about the question of the who. We Republicans sometimes obsess too much about who. Ask ourselves, what do we stand for? Why do we stand for it? Let's define that this year. Then next year, as people start to go to the polls, the question is, who's the best standard bearer for that vision?
That will be up to GOP primary voters, who will deliver their answer in due time. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, Zach is back. Zachary Levi returns as Shazam in his latest superhero film. We'll have our Studio 5 conversation with him right after this. Welcome back to CBN News Watch. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is in theaters now, and it marks the return of Zachary Levi as the superhero who is really a kid in a man's body. Ephraim Graham had the chance to chat with him about the role for CBN's Studio 5 program, and we also have a look at the film as well.
I don't deserve these powers, if I'm being honest. Like, what am I even contributing? Ow!
You actually initially said no to the role?
What? So
the first
no,
one?
No. Well, so yeah, yes and no. There's already a superhero with a red suit with a lightning bolt on it. Aquaman is literally huge and he's so manly, and Batman is so cool, and I'm just me.
I had received an email for an audition that had been set up for the role of Shazam.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, the wizard gave me superpowers. And then everybody got superpowers. Where's everyone going?
To fight crime?
I emailed back, I go, aren't they looking for like super jacked dudes at the very least, but also super famous jacked dudes? And I am neither of these things. And God bless the assistant who was on the other side of this email, because their response to me felt like this emoji. It was like,
now everyone's kind of like doing their own thing, and I'm the only one trying to keep it together.
And so I said, respectfully, I'll decline. I don't want to be wasting everybody's time, because I felt like I'd be wasting everybody's time.
Children stole the power of all the gods.
I got this email, and it was like, hey, don't mean to bug you, because I told my agency, I was like, listen, I'm off grid, I'm doing some healing stuff, and they're like, yeah, totally. But then, of course, in classic Hollywood fashion, don't mean to bug. But hey, there's this other role. It's a supporting role. It's like one scene. And I had just had this breakthrough, and I was like, you know what? Okay. Came home from the gym, put my phone up on the dresser, pinned it with some books, hit record, did one take, liked it, started doing a second take, bungled it, stopped it, went back, and I was like, you know what? I like the first take, I'll just send one take. And that was on a Friday. And then that night, my phone starts blowing up, and my agent's like, so, as it turns out, they haven't hired their Shazam. Not only do they love you for this role, they think you could actually be Shazam. My head's spinning out of control. I'm like, what is happening right now? And then over the course of the next 7 days, from Friday to Friday, I finished my stuff in therapy, I flew to LA, I camera tested, and then that next Friday, I got a call and it said, you are now Shazam.
Introducing the star of our show. His name is Shazam!
Part of the reason I like sharing that story is because I really need people to understand that there is no too late. There's just not. We think in this very human, linear, limited way. God does not. And the work that we can and should do on our lives can absolutely open up so many avenues within our own life if we are willing to go there and really, heal.
Everyone can be worthy. Let's give it a chance. Now go fight for your family. Go fight for the world.
Again, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's in theaters right now. And for more positive entertainment news, you can catch Studio 5 on the CBN News Channel tonight at 8:30 Eastern or on the CBN News app and YouTube. Coming up, from X-rated content to following Christ, we're going to bring you the story of a former reality star when we come back. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Former reality star Blac Chyna, who now goes by her birth name Angela White, opened up about her decision to embrace the Christian lifestyle, a decision that led to her quitting her work with a sexualized social media website. She told the London Daily Mail that her baptism experience last May became a turning point to stop sharing X-rated content with the website, saying it was degrading and not in line with her newfound faith. She feels God is guiding her decision-making and now leans on a group of Christians for prayers and support. Angela says she turned to the Christian faith out of a desire to become whole. That's wonderful to hear. Great to see her Christian witness. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.